We look back at one of the biggest games in the state and introduce you to this week's Lindsay Girls Athlete of the Week. It is Wednesday, January 7th, and this is Varsity Vibe Today. Welcome into Varsity Vibe Today. I'm your host, Alyssa Orange. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday. We had a lot of basketball action around the state last night, including a big-time matchup between Bryant and Little Rock Christian. So let's go ahead and get into our Lewis Automotive opening drive. JJ Andrews not playing tonight for Little Rock Christian, but still the Warriors able to have a 30-24 lead over the Hornets at halftime. However, Bryant able to battle back, get back into this one in the third quarter, going on to win this one 71-57. Here's Coach Mike Abrahamson after the win.
Little Rock Christian did a great job. Gave us some trouble with the zone early in the game. We're unsure if JJ's going to play or not, so we kind of had a plan for him to play, and we stuck with it even though he didn't play. And our guys just kind of worked themselves first half, kind of playing slow and a little bit nonchalant. So we just wanted to pick it up and kind of get back to our aggressive nature in the second half, and it played out really well. We tied it by the end of the third, and then we were able to kind of take off there in the fourth. So really proud of their effort and getting back to being who we are.
We have more from that game and the other games that we were at on Tuesday night over on our social media platforms, so make sure to check those out. Now, on the girls' side, 6A state champions Fort Smith Northside opening up conference play with a win over Springdale, and they hosted Rogers last night. Now, I had a chance to visit with head coach Ricky Smith about this year's team and how the non-conference schedule set them up well for 6A action, and how there's always room to get better when expectations are what they are for the Lady Bears.
We start a freshman, two 10th graders, and a couple of seniors.
Mhm.
And we play about four sophomores, and two juniors off the bench. So I play a lot of kids.
Mhm.
And so it was a very challenging non-conference schedule. We played the number one, number two in Oklahoma, and then we played number one in Texas. And now we're coming back and playing the Tournament of Champions, playing North Little Rock, who's, everybody thinks is the number one team in 6A this year. And so we played a very, very difficult schedule. And we played 8 games in 17 days. And so it was quite a grind. But,
Yeah.
our kids needed that type of competition. And I think it helped prepare us for the 6A West.
When you look at scheduling, I know some of these coaches that I've talked to just say sometimes it's hard to schedule teams because they don't necessarily want to play us. Did you find that scheduling was a little challenging this year and in the past?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. The AAA Arkansas Activities Association allows us to play 30 games now. Up until a couple of years ago, we were allowed to play 18 games in 3 tournaments or 20 games in 2 tournaments. Now they've gone to a blanket 30-game schedule, and I've never been able to fill that. We've always had 2 or 3 open dates, and everyone's how come we aren't playing? Well, we just couldn't get good opponents, and a lot of teams want to play our boys but doesn't want to play our girls, or a lot of teams want to play our girls, don't want to play our boys. So for us, this is the first year. Of course, now we lost 4 starters off a state championship team. So from the outside looking in, it looks like Northside's dropping a lot, and magically our schedule got filled up this year. So we do have 30 games, but we had to step out and play. I played 3 from Texas and a couple from Oklahoma, 4 from Oklahoma. So, we're playing a challenging schedule, and hopefully that will continue to pay off for us.
Why does seeing so many different kinds of teams and different kind of styles get you ready for the 6A West when the competition starts with conference play?
Well, like my assistant coach Cooper told our team in a pregame walkthrough, we've seen everything. We've seen man-to-man, we've seen zone, we've seen 1-3-1, we've seen 3-2, full court press, zone press, man press. You try to put your players in tough situations all across your schedule. And so our kids have seen about everything that can be thrown at them. Hopefully we can continue to come back to the practice floor and correct the mistakes. But as a coach, all you want to do is try to provide them with the best opportunity to be successful come conference season time. Now, it stings a little bit in November, December, but it helps prepare you to make a run for a conference title.
We always want to play your best basketball in March. What do you think is the biggest difference between last year's team and this year's team?
Oh man, there's a ton of differences in our ball club. For me, just the youth and inexperience has me concerned at times. We're not very consistent. Last year's basketball club was a veteran basketball club. Kids that had played a lot of ball games. I had two kids that played as ninth graders, and that was their fourth year last year. Division One, power, 5 point guard that signed with Colorado. So didn't worry about the press offense or the continuity off, just everything that a senior point guard does to help lead your program. This year we're starting freshmen, sophomore guards, a lot of inexperience in the backcourt. So as a coach, you kind of hold your breath when you get in those big games. You don't know what's going to happen, honestly. Now the positive side, we score from a lot of different angles, and we have a lot of depth. And I really think the potential from this team is maybe a little bit greater than last year's team, but we're just not there yet. We have a good young team, great kids. Maybe a little too nice. Sometimes you got to have a little bit of just some hard hitters on your team, and so we're trying to get there. But really love our team, really do.
Yeah. As a coach, a lot of no, no, yes scenarios for you in your coaching?
Absolutely. Don't. Good shot. Good shot. Yeah. I mean, you've listened to our practices, obviously.
Yeah. Well, when you have that kind of youth, I know it changes coaching teams just because of the way that their makeup looks from year to year. But who's really stepped up for you to kind of help lead on the court?
Well, obviously, Cameron Schmidt is a
Yeah.
senior. She had 17 points, 12 rebounds in the state finals last year as a junior. So
Mhm.
had a great summer, great fall. Was in the gym all summer, every day. Worked her tail off to be a really, really good leader. Isabella Kendricks, another senior that started for us as a freshman. Now she's in tennis and some other things, and so, wasn't with us as much. But just a hard nosed, tough kid, great defender. Know what you're going to get. 34 ACT. Good solid leader. And so those two kids are our main seniors at our back, and then everybody else is new. Those are the only two kids that even saw quality minutes last year in the state tournament. And
Mhm.
so for us to basically put 12 new players on our roster with those kids, I feel pretty good about where we're at, 13-2.
Yes.
Now the expectations at Northside High School are always really, really high, but that's what you want. I mean, you want to be the hunted, not the hunter. And so. Still not where we need to be, but I like the direction we're going.
Mhm. All in all, though, it's just hard to get to hot springs. What do you think is the biggest key to seeing success and seeing success when it matters to get back to hot springs to try to win another state title?
Just consistency, coming to work every day, having the right attitude. A lot of teams know how to win.
Mhm.
A lot of teams know how to lose, but some teams don't know how to win, and some teams don't know how to lose. You got to ride that roller coaster, come back to work the next day after a big win or after a hard loss, and just consistently try to be the best you can be. High expectations, the culture of your program, and early in my career as a coach, I really focused on the destination a lot, probably a little too much. Now as a coach. I want to enjoy that journey, but we still know where we're going. Where you know where you want to go. But like I tell our players, you don't just strike out to a trip to the beach without a roadmap. So we're trying to you know follow that roadmap to get where we want to be. Obviously, we've been to the state finals 14 times, so we've been there.
Mhm.
This group hasn't been there, and so we're excited for the chance for them to get back. But we got a long ways to go. We really do. We're pretty good, but we're not that good yet. And so our kids know that. Our kids understand there's a certain level you got to play at in order to be able to compete for those type of championships. And we're not there yet. We're really not.
Great to chat with Coach Smith. And again, I thank him for his time. Our Lindsay Girls Athlete of the Week honors going to Little Rock Christian senior Whitley Rogers. Rogers committed to Arkansas last week, a big time pickup for the Razorbacks and head coach Kelsey Musick. The number one player in the state for the class of 2026, Rogers was named the Gatorade Player of the Year in 2025, averaging 24.9 points a game, 6.9 rebounds a game, 3.1 assists, and 2.5 steals for the Lady Warriors last season. She was in action last night against Bryant. Congratulations to Whitley Rogers, your Lindsay Girls Athlete of the Week, #1 in golf, real estate, and apartments. Thank you so much for joining us on Varsity Vibe today. That is going to do it for our show on this Wednesday. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, follow along on our social media platforms. That is X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Such great content from these games and behind the scene action for you over there on those platforms, and we don't want you to miss a bit of it. Thank you so much for joining us on Varsity Vibe today. That is going to do it for our show on this Wednesday. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, follow along on our social media platforms. That is X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Such great content from these games and behind the scene action for you over there on those platforms, and we don't want you to miss a bit of it. So go follow along and make sure to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and sign up for the newsletter at varsityvibearkansas.com. That'll get to your inbox twice a week, keep you in the know with everything that's happening in high school athletics. That is going to do it for our show. And of course, we could not do it without our great sponsors. A very special thank you to them here at Varsity Vibe. I'll see you tomorrow.